Cool, how are we doing? Hope you're good. So today what we're going to look at is a case study for a client. Now we're going to call this case study Client A, just so we don't embarrass him, okay? A lot of the problems that he goes through is a lot of the problems that I see a lot of business owners going through, consultants, coaches, founders. I mean, this is just a general common problem. So what we're going to do is take you through the blueprint of how we help this guy turn this around, okay? Now, he's been working with me about 2 months and we're already starting to see a big change in the way that he thinks, his confidence levels, his alignment levels, his edge, i.e. his edge being his confidence, all right? This probably will take about 15 minutes. Let's stick it on the stopwatch now because I've got another coaching session for our actual clients, right? And if you want to be a client of ours, in the description is my Instagram link. Click it, message me the word ready, and we can talk as to whether you're going to be a good fit. So listen, there are different sections to this. There is the current situation he was when he walked through the front door. He actually watched one of these YouTube videos, went to Instagram, messaged me ready, we had a chat, and he was a good fit. We then looked at how we reframe the problem. We then look at the mindset shift. Okay, we then look at the actions we took, and then we looked at some of the results that he's starting to get right now, and we're at the very early stages of that transformation. Now, let's go all the way back to the very start when he walked through the front door. He was watching some of the YouTube videos that I was doing like this, and they were resonating with him. He started to understand his circumstances a little bit better. And when you watch these videos, you do get a good understanding of like what's going on, what are the problems. And for a lot of you, you probably know about 60% of what's going on. You know that there's a problem, something doesn't feel right, something's not working right. And it's usually a lack of structure, systems, routines, poor mentality, mindset, abundance. There's an abundance of things that it could be. So these were his biggest 4 things, right? So his business operations were dominating his inside of his home, right? So everything that was happening within his business, doing really well in his business. He had a 7-figure business, worked really hard, went in that to provide for his family, but actually it was creeping in. So he was bringing his work and his business life into the home. And he was doing that because he was sitting at the dining room table. If he had made it home in time, he wasn't actually present. He was on his phone at the kitchen table, right? He would not pay attention to his wife. He wouldn't go straight to his wife, ask how her day was. The kids didn't even notice that he was home. They would be like, oh, Dad's home. Okay, so they weren't like acknowledging him because there was this disconnection, right? So I put here, wife disconnected, no invite from the kids to go and play. Hey, Dad, do you want to come and play with me? Do you want to come build Lego? Do you want to go wrestling, to play football? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And that was really difficult, right? And the last one here, he kind of felt trapped and guilty because when he went into business, he obviously didn't go into business to disconnect from his family. He went in there for his family. He went in there to build a life for them. And what was actually happening was the business was stripping him away, right? So we see this with consultants, we see this with CEOs, we see this with coaches, business owners. When we go all in, okay, we then get stripped. If you look at my last video, about 80, and I talked about 80% of our time and our energy is being consumed with work, right? And they don't have to be in a work environment for that to happen. You actually spend probably out of that 80%, 30 of it, consuming your mind in work when you're around other people. So you're not present, you're not listening. And your wife would probably pick you up for not listening, right? You're not listening to me, you're not paying attention to me. And you're not, because you're thinking about work, you're thinking about the emails. Okay, so this was his current situation. All right, so that's what we were working with and that's what we did. So when he went to the Instagram page and he messaged me ready and I was like, cool, let's get on a chat. This is what we got out of that phone call. This is the things that were happening. And it was making him sort of deeply unhappy, right? And I meet lots of business owners, senior figures, consultants, who end up losing their marriage because of this, because the family learned to live without you. Do you know what I mean? And that's quite a scary place to be. So we reframed it. So there's 5 reframings here. Okay, number 1, we have to bring ourselves back to saying we built a business for freedom so that you could do the school runs. right? So you can go and do the school runs, so that you could be in charge of your own timetable, so that you could achieve all of the things that you wanted to, so that you could, if you want to take a day off and take your wife out, you could. But really what we've ended up doing, or what client A, case study A, ended up doing, was becoming an employee within his business that he couldn't strip himself away from. So we reframed it to bring him back, that we're building this business for freedom. Okay, and that was one of the first things that I kind of implemented into his head. Okay, and then I kind of justified a little bit about his inability to switch off, because when I asked him, who's taught you to switch off, he no one has. He turned around and said, like, no one's ever taught me that. And of course they haven't. We don't teach this at school, right? We don't teach entrepreneurship. We don't teach systems, structures, routines to be able to switch off from work. That's something that we got to do ourselves. So we had to justify that, right? We had to almost ease his fears in that, actually, if you do switch off at this time and then go back into the office tomorrow at this time, your business is not going to close down overnight, right? And this is the thing that we had to understand. We had to understand and reframe, saying, you're not going to lose your business because you walk through the door at 5:30 at night. You turn your phone off, you turn your laptop off, and you're present all the way through the evening, through your morning routine, and you start work back at 8:30, 9 o'clock. Your business is not going to close down. Okay? We had to then come to the realization that, yes, the business is running him. We had to reframe that. We had to look at that. We had to understand that that is what was happening. And I think that's a really important part of it, because acceptance, self-acceptance, is the first part of change, transformation. And then the last part here, we almost had to understand the people that, or the things that are against us. What were our enemies? So the biggest enemy is that we had to stop the phone ruling him. Okay, the phone. So the phone here, this is like a portal to the outside world. I run my business off this. Okay, this tiny little thing here. Okay, if that is on, I am distracted. Okay, and that's the same for him. Clients, WhatsApp messages, Slack messages, emails, phone calls, queries. So the little thing here that we have on this phone, which is a godsend, is the little aeroplane mode. You can see it's on in a minute. And that puts us into an aeroplane mode, which means that we say to the rest of the world, I'm not available for you. I'm only available for me and my family. Okay. So we reframed that. So we looked at this and then we reframed it here and we went, okay, this is what we got to work with. So what are the mind shifts that we need? The mindset shifts that we need. So there are 3 key ones that I put here. Your family deserves the same attention as your business, if not more. Okay. So yes, while you're at work, man, we're all in at work. I am. Like my my personal phone will sometimes be like on air when I don't want to be disturbed, when I'm doing my work, when I'm doing my deep stuff, man, I'm in that frame. Okay, that's not my time for family time. That's not my time for health. That's not my time to think about like the kids and the family. That's my time to look after my clients, to do my structure, to do my business, to do my personal branding, to edit my videos. That's my time, right? But when I'm outside of those barriers, my family deserve that same attention. Okay, they deserve that time, that energy, that enthusiasm that we have, that ambition. We should be ambitious about building, okay, our family ties. That's a mindset shift. Second one is to prioritize the home. The front door is the portal. Okay, so just like this is your portal to the business and outside world, I have this kind of system or vision or whatever you want to call it, that when I walk through the front door, I've stripped off my armor of the day. It stays there. All the emotions that come with it are stay outside. All of the curveballs, whether I have a crap day or whether I have a good, it all stays out there, because it's not about me. It's not about the business. And that was the same for my guide. This is the thing that I had to say to him, is that it's not about your business. It's not about your team. It's not about your accounts. They stay out there. And as soon as you walk through that front door, it becomes the portal to, man, it's about my family. And that's the thing that I needed him to understand in this mindset shift, is that the minute you walk through the door, boom, that's when we start focusing on the the next part of our day, okay? Number 3, you're not leaving money on the table, but you are leaving memories and trust on the table, okay? So there's this internal battle where we're like, man, I'm leaving money on the table. I'm not making money. We're not moving the business forward. And you're probably doing all right. And like I said to him, you're running a 7-figure business with a decent profit margin, okay? But what you are doing is losing all of the time that you've got to make memories and the trust that you are their leader. Okay, so just like your clients, if you didn't show up for your clients, would they still pay you, right? And then we expect our family to still be around 1, 2, 3 years into our business, but you haven't been around, so they're losing trust. Okay, so it's important to understand, and this was the mindset shift that we went from the problem, that we went from the reframe, that we went to the mindset, to then taking key actions, all right? So we have to start simple, okay? The biggest thing that people need to understand when we're transitioning or we're transforming or we're changing the way that we operate is that we start simple. Because it takes 12 months, guys. It takes 12 months of consistent personal development, of small touches every single day to achieve what we're looking to try and achieve. Okay? It's not all going to happen in 90 days. It's not going to happen in 7 days. We do a 7-day trial. That's just to disrupt the, watch a few videos, get amongst the community, be part of it. But overall, it takes 365 days. Okay? So the first thing that I got him to do was have a hard stop. So this was timing, boundaries, and transitions. So we decided on a finish time, which he didn't have before. And we have what's called a transition routine. Now you can watch the transition routine actually on this playlist somewhere along the way. It just teaches you about what the transition routine is. And all that is taking you from one environment, one mindset where you're working, coming out of that mindset, and then transitioning, to being ready to go into a personal state. So we're shifting state of minds, we're shifting emotions, and we go through a certain process. And you can watch that video. I'll probably link it at the end of this one for you to be able to watch, okay? But what we're doing is implementing boundaries immediately. If you think about fields, if you look at the countryside, right? There are boundaries everywhere in fields with fences, like this is my land, that's your land, okay? And that's what we almost have to do with our day. We go, right, this is when we start, this is when we finish. This is my personal space in the morning, this is my working space, this is my evening family space, rest and recuperation. So we put them straight in. So that's what we did with him. We had a hard stop, we put him in a timing, and we created immediate boundaries that he had to nurture into. And by the way, I didn't put that in place and he went, right, I've got it straight away. It took weeks, okay? And I think we've probably been working 8 to 9 weeks, and I think we're only just starting to get it. Because there has to be that test and adjust. There has to be that transition of not having systems to then learning to implement those systems. There is then the discipline muscle to build. Then there is then the resilience to overcome temptations and change and have this fight with your brain, okay? But that's in place. Second thing is discard the phone. Discard the phone here. So one of the things that I taught him is that when I get the train home from our community office, is that midway through that journey, this will go into aeroplane mode, and I will take out my second phone, which is a cheap, crappy phone, but it has no social media on it, and it only has numbers with my family. So my older kids, the kids' mum, my wife, my mum, like just really, really key people on there. So there are no distractions on there, right? I can't go on YouTube, I can't go on Instagram, there's none of that there. So that has to be done within that transition routine. But we made the agreement that when he walks through the front door, that phone is off. And then as soon as we get in, when I say discard it, I go straight up to my room and I put it on my side charger, and I don't touch it again to the morning. I set the alarm when I put it down for 4:15 the next day, and I don't touch it. And that's what we got him to do. And that was a big game changer because his portal to the outside was out the way. Number 3 is immediately engage. Make it about them. Straight up to your wife, straight away. How was your day? How are you doing? Kiss, cuddle, connect. Make them feel like special. Can I help in any way? Get amongst the kids. What we're building, what we're drawing, how was your day? Make it about them. Okay? And then the last part here was just repeat that over and over and over again, and that's what we did, right? So In fact, I'm going to come on to the actions in a minute. The actions are simple. They're super, super simple. And all good systems are simple. If we try and overcomplicate it, you just don't do it. Like people don't, like if there's friction, people don't do it. So it's a super simple process, and these are the results that we got off the back of it in about eight weeks. So number one, we've reconnected with the wife and kids. He actually sent me a message saying the kids come running up to the door screaming daddy, and his wife was looking and smiling and going wow. And it's the first time that's happened like in a very long time. They were like, daddy's home. And most of the time they ignored him when he was home, and that's a really painful thing to do, and that made him cry, and that was a really nice moment for all of the family. His relationship has improved, his sex life has improved, the connection between the two has improved, they're working together as a team within the house. Okay, he's not just solely reliant and expecting things to be done. There is teamwork, and that is working really, really well. Okay, number two here, I put here, kids run to the door. Number three is calmer and sharper the next day. Now, because you are not constantly on, we're becoming nice and calm. So you're getting your rest, your recuperation, you're feeling in control. That calm comes off the back of being in control, right? So sharper for the next day. His team have noticed he's being more decisive with his actions because he's not fighting the fog of guilt and trust. And that had been playing on his mind like, I'm never home, I'm never going to get back. And because we put in a little bit of structure, some routines and some systems, man, he's more decisive, okay? Because we're losing that mind fog, right? We're sharp. And then right here, he woke up to building a life, not just a business. And that was his words. He goes, I feel like I've woken up and I'm building a life. My mission is building a life, not just my business. Now, there was an awful lot of work to do on here, of course. So this is a good example of taking somebody that has some troubles, which is clearly affecting their life, right? When we think about being a man and what do we need, man, we want more control, we want more connectivity, we want more of a life, we want more edge, we want more discipline, more alignment. These are all the things that make us feel like, man, life is not a grind, it's an enjoyment process. It's not the pursuit of happiness, it's the happiness of the pursuit, right? And that quote come from Jimmy Carr that I saw, and that is the main difference. So if you want to help going through this process, you will have probably your specific set of problems that you come in with that we can help you with. Then in the description, Instagram, message, the word ready, let's chat, let's talk, to give you examples as well. Here's that piece on the transition routine. Here's a piece of another case study that you can watch where I talk to this guy one-on-one. These will help you understand the process more. Hope it helps.